All right, gang, we do have some major movement going on with the latest election forecasting models. Trump's chances of winning the White House now have officially surpassed the 60% mark. And here's the key: on a Democrat's forecast model. It's actually two. It's Nate Silver's forecast model and the Real Clear Politics, the RCP averages forecast model. So Nate Silver, the poll darling of the Democrats, is giving Trump right now, today, a 61.4% chance of winning the presidency, whereas Kamala has dropped, well, what do you know, back into the 30s, right? Into just 37%. Now, this forecast is actually moving more and more in Trump's direction every single day. So, for example, just a couple of days back, this is what you would have seen had you looked at Nate Silver's forecast model. Trump's chances were at 56%, and Kamala's were 10 points higher. They were at 47%. So Trump has shot up now to over 60%, and Kamala's dropped 10 points to 37%. So Trump keeps going up and up and up, and Kamala keeps going down. And we could see the betting markets responding in a comparable manner here. The betting markets like Polymarket, they're all swinging to Trump. Polymarket's giving Trump now either the lead or tied in every single swing state. Polymarket is giving Trump either the lead or they are tied in every single battleground state, the Big Seven, as they're called. And again, keep in mind, this is 2 weeks after the Democrat convention. That was their high. It's only going downhill from here. Now, keep in mind, Polymarket is not predictive. It is reactive. So this is not a prediction of who's. It's just showing you who has the momentum right now. And that's key, I think, to why these election forecast models are swinging so far over to Trump. Trump just has all the momentum. When all is said and done, this election really does come down to the Big Seven, the 7 swing states. And Trump is absolutely crushing it there. There's not a single, just to set it all up for you, there is not a single swing state that Trump is not viably winning or possibly winning. There's not a single swing state that Trump has been shut out of completely from winning. Whereas Kamala looks like she's been shut out of 3 of them: Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. It looks like there's no chance she's winning. So Trump, again, this is just giving you a sense of the state of the race in the Big Seven. There are no states among the Big Seven that Trump has been shut out of. He has a shot at every single one of them, if not most likely will win most of them, which means game over. Whereas Kamala looks like she's been shut. It looks like Kamala's done in Arizona. It looks like she's done in Georgia. It looks like she's done in North Carolina. Okay, so that's just to give you kind of a big aerial picture there in terms of the contrasting state of each one of the campaigns. Seth Keshel, some of you may know him as Captain Keshel. He just did a county by county breakdown of Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsinite. It's his own backyard. And the upshot is, according to his electoral analysis, county by county, in a worst case scenario, worst case, Trump will carry Wisconsin by about 1.3% of the vote right now if the election were held today. So that's about double the margin he won back in 2016 when he won Wisconsin with 0.7% of the vote. So a worst case scenario based on this county by county analysis is that Trump wins Wisconsin by double the margin he won in 2016. And again, this fits with Rich Barris's thesis and Robert Barnes' thesis that what really their forecast, their prediction, that in the end, Kamala's going to do even worse than Hillary because Kamala's far less liked than Hillary. A best case scenario here in Wisconsin is that Trump runs away with it with a 4-point win. So right now, McLaughlin, who does a lot of internal polling for the Trump team, they have Trump up 2 in Wisconsin. Now, again, keep in mind, Wisconsin is notoriously hard to poll. It is very, very rural. And the polls almost always, did I get it? I'm doing a Mark Cuban. Remember? No. I think he did 16 no's in a row in one interview about Kamala. What a weird guy. But Wisconsin polls always. Did I get that across? Always. Did I mention always underestimate Republican turnout? Always. I think it's because it's very rural. And that rural vote, which is hard to reach, comes out en masse to vote for the Republican. And I think we're going to see that like never before in a couple of months now in Wisconsin. Just the other day, we talked about Michigan. We got 2 back-to-back polls, one from Epic and the other from WDIV TV. It's a local TV station there. They're both regional polling outlets in Michigan. They're relatively reliable polls, for the exception that they tend to underestimate, like all the polls do, Trump support. So take a look at what you got here. These dropped just the other day, back-to-back Epic and WDIV. They both show Trump in the lead with 1 point, 47 to 40. Oh, Epic has Trump behind Harris, 1, and WDIV has Trump up over Harris by 1. Am I getting that right? No, my eyes are deceiving me. Oh, I'm getting, and I have a hard stop today at 12:45 because I have an eye appointment. Sorry, look at that. My eyes deceive me. They are both up. Trump has that's what I thought. So I had my notes here. Trump is up 1 point in both 47-46, 45-44. Now, what's so significant there is that this lead in reality may be far more significant than that, because both polls consistently underestimated Trump's support in 2020 and 2016 by about 4 or 5 points. So if that's the case, they tend to be accurate in terms of how they assess the overall Democrat turnout in Michigan, but not the Trump turnout. And the Trump turnout tends to be 4 to 5 points more. So if that's the case, Trump may be leading by 5 or 6 points in Michigan. But regardless, the key here is that he's leading. He's leading in Michigan. It does appear to be the case. And we're getting a number of polls that are suggesting that, but most especially these regional polls that understand their counties' makeup and constituencies and the like. But if that's the case, then you have to do some extrapolations. If Trump is winning Michigan, there is no way he loses Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, because Wisconsin and Pennsylvania always vote to the right of Michigan. So if he's winning Michigan, there is no way he is losing Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. He's going to win. So it's going to be a clean sweep. It's a clean sweep of the blue wall. And then when you dive deeper into the poll, you find how bad it is for Kamala going into the stretch of these final 60 days. Michigan voters strongly prefer Trump on the major issues driving this election, right? Sound familiar? Voters trust Trump nearly 20 points when it comes to the southern border. Obviously, Kamala ain't convincing no one about building the wall. He's up 13 on the economy, and he's up 5 on international affairs. Now, that is radically significant because it tells us that this lead that Trump has is just going to it's not just going to hold, it's going to continue to grow. And it's going to get bigger because more and more voters are going to start to align who they're voting for with the trust polling. So who do you trust more to handle these top issues? I trust Trump, so I'm going to go with him. If Trump and Kamala were neck and neck on the top issues polling there, who do you trust? If they were neck and neck, 50-50 as it were, well, then it's anyone's ballgame. The fact that Trump is and has been and promises to continue to be so dominant in the trust polling means that his polls are only going to be going up from here. There's no way voters trust Trump, for example, on the economy, but then turn around and vote for Kamala. Or there's no way voters trust Trump on the southern border and then turn around and vote for Kamala, which means two things. One, as Rich Barris argued, we're going to eventually see the polling return to Biden-level polling. Kamala's glitz and glamour gimmick is going to come crashing down back to Biden-level support. That's first. And then second, if that's the case, Again, I'm not being presumptuous here. We cannot be presumptuous. But if that is the case, then obviously this election is over. Trump is going to carry Michigan. If he carries Michigan, he carries Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, wins the Sun Belt, and it's over. And to make matters even worse, and again, I do insert here, we cannot be complacent. We know the Democrats can pull anything out of the hat. We know that. We're not stupid anymore. We know that. I'm just saying this is where the electorate is right now. Okay. But that said, to make matters even worse for Kamala, Robert Kennedy, who polls his best in the battleground states, is now going to be hitting every single one of those states throughout the next 60 days. Check it out.
On the ballot, but I support Donald Trump. Don't vote for him. Don't vote for me. Would you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I already intend to do that. We're planning a Make America Healthy Again tour, where we're going to visit almost all of those states. So I will be doing rallies in each of those states over the next 61 days. We want to, if we're going to accomplish the mission that I set out to accomplish when I got into this campaign, to end the censorship, to end the surveillance, to get out of the Ukraine war and unravel the war machine, and the chronic disease epidemic. The only way to do that is to get President Trump in the White House and me into Washington. So we're going to pull out all the stops to make sure that happens.
Are you going to be alongside Donald Trump, essentially campaigning with him in those states?
I may be. I don't, we don't know. We haven't worked out the entire schedule, but certainly I'll probably do rallies with him and with other surrogates for President Trump. We're co-planning these rallies, the Make America Healthy Again rallies and the Drain the Swamp rallies with the Trump campaign. And we expect the Trump campaign to show up at the rallies too. So we're going to, I will be campaigning side by side with the president and with members of his family and with other members of his campaign.
Now, make no mistake, that's the last thing the Democrats want to hear. They're doing everything they can to keep Bobby Kennedy's name on the ballots in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and North Carolina. They're doing everything they possibly can to try to disrupt this alliance. And it's because Bobby Kennedy's particularly popular in swing states. All the polls show he does take votes away from Trump in those heavily rural areas. And so his co-campaigning with Trump over the next 60 days, it's going to absolutely crush it going into the home stretch here. Absolutely awesome stuff. The realignment continues between the populist left and the populist right to take down the establishment once and for all. And you heard him articulate that so perfectly, to dismantle the administrative state and dismantle the war machine and the military industrial complex and the censorship complex. And we need the people to unite, both left and right, to take on not a horizontal enemy left and right, but a vertical enemy, namely the establishment. We got one last humiliation for the Democrats here, and that's the latest disaster for Special Prosecutor Jack Smith. Wait until you see this. This is just, I got to admit, it is delicious. I shouldn't say that, should I? All right, well, I'll confess afterward, but this is just too good. But first, Gag, with all the uncertainty, all of the insanity surrounding us and around the entire world, there's simply never been a better time to secure your finances than with the timeless value of gold and silver. And so that's why we have as one of our wonderful friends and sponsors the amazing company Goldco, because they're patriots just like us who want to help you and guide you and how to get into precious metals completely tax-free and penalty-free. In fact, if you click on that link below right now, you can get your very own absolutely free gold and silver kits, an amazing free resource that shows you step-by-step how to get into precious metals, even if your money's still in a retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. And just to show you how awesome the Patriots Goldco are, the best part is that you may actually already qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver. I told you they're the best, so what are you waiting for? Get in on the action by clicking on the link below or going to turleytalkslikesgold.com and get your free gold and silver kit today. All right, we got to talk about the latest complete total humiliation of freaking Jack Smith, man. The judge on the DC case, the January 6th case, Judge Tanya Chutkan, has basically told Jack Smith to go stick it. Now, I'm not sure many of you know, or I'm sure many of you do know, but Jack Smith, the special counsel, he recently filed what's called a superseding indictment against President Trump. A superseding indictment is basically the second one after the first one gets dismissed. It's a new indictment. And this one now is actually one on a diet. It's several pages shorter than the original one, precisely because Smith had to omit so much evidence due to the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling. And that omission, as it turns out, basically stripped Smith of any case. Not that he had one prior, but now it's even worse. And many legal analysts had been pointing out that this case, this superseding case, is even more pathetic than the previous ones, even weaker than the previous one, were that even possible. Well, now it looks like the judge in this case, in DC, has had it. Judge Chutkan has put a merciful end to this whole saga. She just ruled that Smith's case will not see the light of day until after the election, which means that it is effectively dead. It's effectively dead from two angles. If Trump wins in November, which is, of course, as we see, looking more and more likely, then the whole case will collapse due to presidential immunity. I mean, it'll be dead. Even if he does not win, if shenanigans conquer, then again, the whole point of the election the whole point of this case was election interference. And so with the election over, the momentum to prosecute Trump will have completely dissipated. Either way, it looks like Chutkan got the memo, okay? Like Alvin Bragg did, right? We talked about this a few weeks back. Alvin Bragg, that Manhattan district attorney, he conceded that the New York court should postpone the sentencing of Trump, which is currently scheduled to occur in just a couple of weeks on September 18th. He's recommending they postpone it till after the election. He admitted that in light of Supreme Court's immunity ruling, much of his evidence that he introduced in the case would in effect be wiped out. And so he agreed. He's recommending that sentencing for Trump be postponed until after the election. And everyone who saw that recognized that letter that he sent out was an admission. Bragg was actually admitting that the lawfare that they used to try to take Trump out was a total and complete failure. I mean, that letter from Bragg to this Manhattan judge was a blatant admission. It was a confession that the weaponized lawfare against Trump has boomeranged back against them. It's an admission that the only thing this campaign of weaponized legalism has accomplished was a massive backlash of sympathy towards Trump. That's what this letter represents. That's what this caving represents. Got nothing to do with law and justice and fairness. That's a total crock, like he would care. It's a full-on retreat, and Chutkan appears to have gotten the memo, as it were. You know, unlike Smith, she recognizes that the powers that be want them to put a lid on this. They want this lawfare to end because they only see it working in Trump's favor. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, you guys probably saw this the other day. Now even Alvin Bragg himself is getting humiliated in a hidden video sting. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office chief spokesman is a fellow by the name of Nicholas. I'm not quite Biase. I don't know how to say his name, but he admitted on hidden camera that the entire case against President Trump was politically motivated. Politically motivated. Now, as I understand it, the video is being censored online, I believe, by Google or YouTube. So I'm just going to read. I'm reading from the Stephen Crowder, unfortunately, put up a bit of the transcript here. But this guy repeatedly said things like, I think the case is nonsense. I think it's a perversion of justice. I think it's a travesty of justice. It's a mockery of justice. The whole thing is disgusting. That's why Trump is surging in the polls. That's the memo, gang. That's the memo. Stop. You guys got to stop this. This lawfare isn't working. So obviously this, I don't know how many people got to see the video, but obviously it's got legs. At the Manhattan DA's office is talking like this. This is beyond embarrassing for Alvin Bragg and this Judge Merchant in New York. Again, it's yet another key sign that this weaponized legalism is it's not working, and it's even being recognized as being a failure in the belly of the beast, even inside the Manhattan DA's office, which again, remember, the Manhattan DA's office originally rejected this case, okay? The Manhattan DA's office originally looked at the potential of this case against President Trump and Stormy Daniels and all that, and they dismissed it as foolhardy and totally illegitimate. Remember, the statute of limitations had run out on the whole thing, for heaven's sakes. It was obviously a political hit job. It had to get resurrected. That's why my namesake, Jonathan Turley, calls it the Frankenstein case. It had to get zapped back to life because it was already dead. And yet the legacy media dutifully lined up and presented the entire thing. They pretended that the entire thing, just like they're doing with Kamala, was actually legitimate. It was legitimate litigation. Yes, this is, tell us more. We're going to bring in our legal expert to tell us. Blah, blah, blah. We really are living in we're living in the best of times and the worst of times. So I keep you sane in insane times. Our country has never seen such corrosive corruption at virtually every systemic level in our public institutions. And we see it. We see it in all the polls. We're going through a horrific process of what's called delegitimation. We talk about it all the time, where trust and confidence in our public institutions has eroded to its lowest levels ever. Gallup has tracked that over the last 20 years, and it's dangerously low levels. I mean, dangerous meaning like Berlin Wall levels. Just look at the state of the Berlin Wall, what happened to the Soviet Union when people no longer trust their public institutions. I mean, our country is absolutely, our leadership, our public institutions have never been, to my memory, this corrupt. And it's just sad to see. But fortunately, corrosion corrodes. Fortunately, rot rots. And our institutions will, come November, either be reformed and renewed for the people, or they'll just eventually implode and we'll have to start again. Either way, there is no future for these left-wing liberal liars.